Hi, this is Steve McGill of HurdleFirst.com and the Hurdle Magazine. And I had a day off today due to snow, so I didn't have to go to work today. So I figured, hey, let me try to get a quick video in here, a little instructional video, one that I've been meaning to do for a little while now. So I'll get a chance to put it all together here. So today I want to talk about getting the heel up under the hamstring. That will be the main focus of today's discussion and the importance of doing that. So I always tell my athletes we want to get the knee up and we want to get the heel up together when we take off. Okay, so when the knee goes up and we get our height that way so that we can look down upon the hurdle. But if our heel's going out and not coming up under the hamstring, then the leg will still swing. The lead leg will still swing, which will cause a delay in the trail leg before it comes to the front. Okay, so with the style of hurdling that I teach, called the downhill hurdling style, we want our legs to cycle, one right behind the other. We don't want our leg to swing, pause, and then come down. Okay, we want it to cycle. Okay, this first leg cycles, and the second leg cycles right behind it. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, and so in order for that to happen, the knee and the heel have to come up together. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. And we're also going to talk about the importance of keeping the ankle dorsi-flexed at takeoff. Now, I've done a video before about the importance of dorsi-flexion in sprint mechanics as it applies to hurdling, but slightly different this time in the sense that a lot of hurdlers will be dorsi-flexed in their strides to the first hurdle and their strides between the hurdles, but then they'll point the toe down as they're gathering to clear the hurdle. So before I was talking about a sprint problem, now I'm talking about more of a hurdle problem. Okay, so if your athletes their sprint mechanics are sound, but they're pointing the toe down when it's time to hurdle, that's a hurdling issue. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that today. All right, so first I'm going to take a look at a photo sequence here. First of two of my athletes that I've coached off and on for the past 3 or 4 years. On the top is Malik Mixon, who's run a 13.6 in the 110s last year. Yeah, he's a senior this year. And at the bottom is Fallon Spearman, who ran a 13.50 last year, and who I have worked with a lot over the summer, this past summer, to help her with some of her technical flaws. And so if you look at the top and the bottom, you look at both Malik and Fallon are at takeoff here in this photo. And they're both doing the same workout, block starts over 3 hurdles, I think it was. And so if you look at the heel of the lead leg on the top, when you look at Malik, you are seeing that the heel is kind of directly under the knee or perpendicular to the knee. Okay, whereas Fallon's heel is under her hamstring. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that Fallon is truly leading with the knee, whereas Malik is kind of leading with the knee, but also leading with the foot. Okay, and so that means that Malik will have more of an issue at the hurdle when it comes to being able to cycle. Okay, we want the leg to be, we want it, I use the word tight. We want our leg action to be tight. Okay, and so when that heel's under the hamstring, that means the knee is really leading the way. We can really push through the hurdle. Okay. Next photo. Now both Malik, well, Fallon's on top this time, and Malik's on the bottom picture. But both of them are at the point where the heel is crossing the crossbar. Okay. And so what you can see is because Fallon started with her heel under her hip, heel under her hamstring when she took off. Now she was able to drive the knee, which enables her here to have a downward angle when her heel crosses the crossbar, which means she's cycling. Okay, so even though she's only 5'1" and the hurdle's 33 inches, she's able to create a downhill angle here because of the knee lift she had at takeoff and the heel height she had at takeoff. Okay, if you look at Malik below her, what you'll see is that his leg is a lot more horizontal. His lead leg is a lot more horizontal than Fallon's. Okay, and so where she's running downhill, he's running more horizontally. Okay, he's big and strong enough that it's not a major deal, but it can be something that if he improves it, he can drop time. Okay, and so we have that. And if you also look at the heel of the trail leg in this photo, Fallon's is still close to her hamstring, whereas Malik's heel is kind of drifting way behind him now. Okay, so I always said we want our legs to come right behind the other. That's what you're seeing with Fallon on the top picture there. On the bottom picture with Malik, you're kind of seeing one leg and then the next leg. You're not seeing them as one piece moving simultaneously, if you will. Okay, so ideally, if you look at Malik, we would want that heel of the trail leg to be closer to the hamstring the way Fallon's is. Okay, so it can come right behind the lead leg in a continuous motion. Okay, so in this next photo, this is Fallon finishing her action. Okay, so now that she has her heel has crossed the bar, now you're seeing her descent off the hurdle. And you can see the downhill angle that we have there. All right, and she's attacking the track, good forward lean, heel is tucked with the trail leg, and she will sprint off the hurdle. Okay, that's the kind of position we want in, and we want to be in. And it all starts at takeoff. Okay, it all starts when you leave the ground. Okay, so if you leave the ground and your heel is tucked under the hamstring, you're able to drive and sprint through the hurdle. If your heel's getting away from you, the leg's going to swing a little bit more and you'll be a little more horizontal, like my man Malik is here. Okay, now I want to take a look at two of my other hurdlers, two that I just started with recently. One's named Aiden, and other's name is Steffi. They're both high schoolers. Aiden's a junior, Steffi's a sophomore. I just started both of them this summer. So both of them here are doing what we call the marching popover drill, where you march to the first hurdle and then keep going. And as you march, your speed will naturally increase because you're pushing forward off the back leg and your hips are pushing forward. Okay, so Aiden's on the left and Aiden's on the left and Steffi's on the right. And what you can see is that Aiden is doing the drill the way it's supposed to be done, and Steffi is not. Okay, why is that? Well, what's happening here? Well, two things are happening. One is her hips are rising, whereas if you look at Aiden, his hips are pushing forward. And the reason that Steffi's hips are rising is because her heel's getting away from her. So she's getting the knee height that she needs, okay, but her heel's getting away from her. The heel's going forward, foot's kicking outward, and that action of kicking the foot outward is forcing her to raise her hips to clear the hurdle, okay? So that's what we don't want to happen. So there were some reps later in this workout where she improved upon it, because we're directly focused on it, but that's kind of how she learned how to hurdle. When she first learned the three-step before she started with me, she learned the three-step by reaching, and now that's a habit that she continues, and that we're trying to get rid of. Like I always tell her, trust your speed, trust your speed, trust your speed. You don't have to reach, okay? But when it's ingrained, you do it even when you're trying not to do it, and so we have to really slow it down to get it better. Because when Aiden first started doing this popover drill back in July, I think it was, when we started together, he didn't look anything like he does now. So he's really come a long way. So you got to drill it and teach it and drill it and teach it till it gets right. Okay. Now I want to look at a few photos of Steffi. She was doing a few starts, not out of the blocks, but a few starts over the first two hurdles. I think I had to do from a standing start because it was freezing cold that day. So in this first photo, she's attacking the hurdle here. I think this is the second of the two hurdles, and you can see that her foot is not dorsiflexed at takeoff here. So problem here is that, the good thing here is that her heel is under her hamstring, so she's doing what we want to do in that regard. But even though the foot on the ground that she's pushing off with, she is pushing off the ball of her foot, so that's good. But the toe of her lead leg here is facing the track. Your toe should not be facing the track if it's dorsiflexed, okay? Because the toe is facing the track, this leg will swing, okay? We will not get the cycle action that we want. We will get a swinging action, and there's nothing she can do about it, okay? So Steffi generally does not run, we've worked on her sprint mechanics, so she doesn't run plantar flex. She dorsiflexes and she runs with the balls of her feet normally. Okay, but when she gets to that hurdle, that last stride into the hurdle, this is what we see. That toe points down. Okay, so we want to get rid of that. We want to fix that issue. Okay, because let me show you what it causes. Next photo. Okay. So one thing you can't see because it's still photo, but her hips rose. Maybe you can see it actually because her hips are way above the crossbar, and they shouldn't be. Okay, so her foot is now dorsiflexed. So she fixed that accident. That tells you she knows to be dorsiflexed. Why was she not dorsiflexed at takeoff? Because she was winding up. Okay, she was preparing to hurdle as opposed to just running over the hurdle. Okay, so now she's fixed that, and her knee height is good. Okay, her hip height is too high. So she's floating a little bit, okay? But this is not a bad position to be in, but it's not ideal. Okay, next photo. So now her heel is just about to cross the crossbar, just in front of the crossbar. And so, again, her hips are way too high. That happened because of the swing when she took off, okay, with the toe pointing down. So here, she's in position to attack the track. Her heel's above the bar. She could attack the track. Okay, she can come at the hurdle at a downward angle here, just like we want. But because her hips are floating, that's not going to happen. And because she started with her toe pointing down when she took off, that's not going to happen. Next photo. Okay, she's even higher. All right, so that lead leg, which could have gone down in the previous photo, is still going up. And now look at how much space she has between the crossbar and her foot. Way too much space. Okay, and that's because she swung. All right, so when you swing, that's what happens. Your hips will rise, your hurdle clearance will be too high, and you lose speed in the air, and you're in the air for too long. And when you land, your hips are going to drop a little bit because what goes up must come down, right? And then when she lands, also she'll have to re-speed up again. Okay, it won't be a natural acceleration like we want. It'll have to be like you have to work to speed back up again. Okay, so all that work you're doing is going to be fatiguing. All right, so there we go. So what's the lesson for today? Keep the freaking hips pushing forward. Keep the toes pointing up. Okay, dorsiflexed, and keep that heel disciplined. Don't let the heel get away from you with that lead leg. Okay. So what we're looking at today is not a matter of sprint mechanics where you fix the sprint mechanics and you fix the hurdle mechanics. This is a case where the hurdle mechanics are off because people are used to hurling a certain way. With Malik, you saw it, and with Steffi, you saw it. They're used to hurling a certain way. And so even when the sprint mechanics are on point, when they get to the hurdle, they shift into this mistake thing. And it takes a lot of drilling and a lot of teaching while drilling. Okay, the coach has to be there, being nitpicky, to get rid of those issues to the point where they're not there when we're going full speed. Okay, so those little things add up, and we're talking about hundreds, and hundreds add up to tenths, and so these kind of detailed things are things you don't want to ignore. All right, thank you for watching, and I'm out.